Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while since we've been here, and there are two things that desperately need to happen. One is I need a shave, but two, more importantly, we need to finish this mix from Piramada when they played at the venue. We are in the final stages of this mix, which is the mastering phase, the most important and also one of the most exciting, because this is when everything gets turned up to 11, it gets loud, and it gets finalized. I get to click that bounce button and send this over to the band. So let's head over to Logic. We have the session lined up here, and I'm just going to start right away with two changes that I made prior to hitting record on this, because it's been a couple of weeks since I've listened to this. At the end of the last episode, I had a virtual tape machine on the mix bus. I got rid of it because that just put a little too much compression on it. And I also eased back on the threshold of my mix bus compressor too. So now the mix sounds a little more dynamic and lively. So let's refresh everyone's ears and see where we are. Let's start in the very beginning.
Long bones laying at my feet, senses pain and endless grief, deserving praise.
Okay, so one thing I did do also, I forgot to mention, was on the center vocal track, I boosted 4K just a little bit here by 3 dB, just so the vocal can cut through a little bit more. I am introducing a little bit more of the guitar bleed and a little bit more cymbal bleed on the vocal track because of that, but I also want to be able to fully hear the vocal at any volume without having to wonder what he's singing over there. So it's worth it. It's a natural sacrifice that I'm willing to make, and I think it works fine. So let's skim through the rest of this and see where we're at.
It's been too long for anyone to stay. Lost my faith, lost my hope. I'm down today. Old and time would stand still. Let it go. This misery of the past is gone. Time is all there is. The world you see is what you gave. Pain is the ransom you gladly pay. Walk away, walk away, walk away. No more heat, no more rage. Walk away, walk away, walk away.
And I'm going to get to my favorite song, which is the final one that they played closing the set.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Drives me so insane.
Okay, so everything is sounding pretty good. So I actually, prior to starting this, took it into the car, listened to it for just a little bit, and it sounded good in the car. So I think this sounds great. And I actually watched the live mix videos leading up to this. And I listened to it on the phone, and I listened to it on my iPads, and it all sounded pretty good there too. So I think the mix, as it is right here, is finalized, and we can get to the mastering phase. So what I like to do is, if we look at my mixer right here, I have all of my plugins set here, ready to go. I'm not going to go through what I did here because if you're watching this, you should know by now what everything I did on the mix here. If you don't know what I'm doing with all this, go watch the other videos, catch up, watch everything I'm doing, and you'll get to where we are right now. But in essence, all I did was I auto-aligned the drums. I put a little bit of reducing EQ, boosted some EQ where needed, and got the kick, snare, and the toms to basically hover around the same relative volume. The guitars, I took out a lot of the pain frequencies and I cleaned up the clarity of them a little bit. Same with the bass. And the keyboards were very easy to get going in the mix. The vocal is where we struggled. So up here, the center vocal, I didn't delete any unnecessary noise from there. Because the singer has a lot of lyrics that he sings in the song, and if I cut out all the cymbal bleed here, like individually, like I did with the backing vocals here, it would just sound weird. So I treated the center vocal as its own instrument and track in the mix, and the backing tracks here, the backing vocals, I let them cut in, and they're not even like as high in the mix as the center vocal is. Let's go to the drum bus. All my instrument buses have what I love to put on my buses, which is the air EQ. This is a very powerful, very, very good EQ that you only have to put just a little bit of input on the either reduction EQ or boost EQ to make a world of a difference. So I like to put my buses through that EQ, and then I like to finalize my buses with a multi-band compressor, not to structure the sound of it, just maintain the peaks so everything is nice and even. You can also think of it as mastering the stems throughout the mixing process. So a lot of mastering engineers like to have stems, which is like they get all drums, all bass, all guitar, all vocals, and then they master that together as individual tracks before combining it into what you would hear on the radio or Spotify or whatever. I personally love to do that too. So I actually took that mastering engineer brain and I applied it to the mix. So really all I got to do with this final process is add my final EQ and car in the background. All I got to do is put my final EQ on this and my final limiter. So that's what these two open slots right here are for on my mastering, on my master stereo output. So that's what we're going to do with this. I'm happy with how the reverb and everything sounds. I'm happy with the levels. I'm happy with how everything sounds. So let's get to actually mastering this track. And for my mastering, I like to use the same EQ that I did for the same EQ that I like to use on all my buses, which is the air EQ. And let's just get listening.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Just me, so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. She knows what I like.
Okay, so I am happy with this EQ right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another EQ, but I'm only going to EQ the sides. So I actually learned this trick from Streaky on YouTube, and it's changed my mastering workflow. So what he does with this is he puts a shelf EQ around 8K, right? And he puts it at 0, or like as close as he can to 0. There we go. What he does is he makes it dynamic, and then he brings the dynamic bit up by 2 dB, and he puts this stereo placement on the sides. And to me, this changes almost the entire mastering workflow. So let's hear it without it, and then I'll turn it on.
She knows what I like.
It's so subtle. It's affecting the guitars. You hear it more with the guitars. It feels a little more airy in the guitars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess with both of these EQs real quick and just get the right combination of airiness and what this plugin calls earth. So it's like the sub bass. And I'm just going to mess with this and until I'm happy with it.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Drives me so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost.
Okay, so rule of thumb when you're EQing something, don't be afraid to just raise as much or take away as much as you want to hear what the EQ is doing. So what I'm doing here is I'm pushing it to the absolute extremes, boosting, and then taking the opposite extremes and reducing it. And with me, what I've discovered is, and I learned this trick from Graham with Recording Revolution, basically, if you're boosting an EQ, you boost it until you can noticeably hear a difference, and then you just tuck it back just a little bit. So I'm going to boost the air on this, and I'm going to boost it until I clearly hear a difference in the speakers, and then I'll just take it back just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do with this.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Drives me so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. She feeds on my brain, drives me so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain, drives me so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. Waiting on, would it be better than this? All the screams in the night, screams in the night.
Okay, so if you're listening to this on extremely loud speakers and you've been blasting this, rewind it a couple of seconds and listen to it at very low volume, because that's where you're going to hear the big difference with these EQ changes. So it's amazing how much of a little tiny subtle difference this is between these two EQs, but you can clearly hear a difference, and it sounds a little more open, clear, wide, and it just sounds great. So I'm very happy with how this EQ sounds. Let's go to what many people think is the most fun part about this phase, and make everything loud. Yeah, just again, you hear the EQ changes, you hear the hi-hat so much more clearly now, and it just sounds wonderful. So, with limiting, you don't want to squash the shit out of this, because you're just going to end up with a what people call the loudness war here. For the sake of, basically, to summarize it with example, listen to Death Magnetic from Metallica and listen to how squashed and compressed the drums are on that album. It's loud as hell, but it comes at the cost of the drums and the mix being dynamic. If you load up Death Magnetic in waveform, it's nothing but one gigantic, like, solid bar. So you want a mix that's dynamic and pleasing to listen to. And don't get me wrong, Death Magnetic, it's good. I actually prefer the album. I know a lot of Metallica fans are, like, on the fence on that record, but Death Magnetic is a perfect example of what the loudness wars and mastering, for the sake of being louder than everything else, because we deceive loudness with quality. People hear a loud mix and they think, oh, that's quality, when in reality, it's just squashed. Listen to Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. That's not squashed at all, and it's one of the best sounding albums ever, in my opinion. Listen to Wasting Light from the Foo Fighters. That's all analog. So, and that's also very dynamic. So listen to those albums and listen to older records where it's not quote unquote remastered. Another example, listen to, if you can find original mono recordings of the Beatles. If you're young, ask your parents to listen to their old Beatles records, because all of you have parents with Beatles records or Elvis records. Listen to those original 45s and listen to those original vinyls, and then go on Spotify and listen to a remastered, and you'll hear a difference. Yes, it is louder. It's much louder. But if you listen to Come Together, the remastered, you'll hear compression in Ringo's in Ringo's toms, whereas on the original Abbey Road LP, you don't necessarily hear that much compression apart from the analog gear that they recorded it on. So I'm not a big fan of overcomplicating the limiting, but I digress. I'm off my ivory tower. Let's go to my limiter here. So I use the FabFilter Pro L2, and it is one of the best limiters I've ever listened to. So this gets me very loud masters without sacrificing the dynamics of the mix. So instead of just talking about it, I'm going to show you. I want to aim for a LUF rating of -14, because that's where most people master to. LUFS is just another way to measure loudness, and people master for streaming services around -14. So, and since 80-90% of people listen to music from streaming these days, I'm going to master for -14. But if I go a little bit lower than that, if I can get between -17 and -14, that's great to me. So let's just go for it.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Just me, so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Just me, so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control.
Okay, so I am not seeing a lot of peak reduction here, and it's getting a little bit louder, but as you can see on my VU meters down here, I still have a little bit of headroom to work with. So, general rule of speaking for how loud does something need to be? So, LUFS, again, LUFS is another way of measuring overall loudness of a song. And depending on what service you post your music on, that service will automatically normalize a song at a certain volume level. For example, I know for a fact that if you post your music on Apple Music lowers and normalizes their songs to minus 16 LUFS. So if you are mastering at minus 9 LUFS, which is the standard for most CDs, Apple Music is going to just lower that volume. And if you also have any like compression with that, it's going to be way more noticeable. So what I like to do is I like to aim for minus 14, but if I can go a little bit louder than that, I'll take my chance. What I like to do basically is I want the absolute bare minimum to be around minus 14 to minus 10. So somewhere in this minus 14 to where this 11 is on here, that's where I generally want to be. And if I have a clean mix, I won't see a lot of, peaks and ducks on the wave right here, and the limiter's not really doing that much work here. So because I don't see that much gain reduction, I can afford to boost it just a little bit more. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain. Drives me so insane. In my mind, in my heart, in my soul, feeling lost, no control. She knows what I like. Yeah, only to leave it all behind. You don't know what I feel, so tired and memorized. Deepening under my skin, frustration within. When really it ends. An open window, I'm in every mind in Change my time.
Okay, so that last bit right there, I cranked my monitors to their absolute max, and the speaker cones weren't like going absolute haywire. They weren't distorting. My monitors were not distorting at all, and the low end was coming in crystal clear. So I know this is gonna look a little crazy on camera here, but I'm about to go to the back of my room. I'm in a relatively okay mixing position here, but I'm gonna go about, I'd say, 3 or 4 feet back, and I'm going to listen to this at absolute max volume. So I think it sounds really good right now. Let's see how it sounds when I'm a little bit further back from a distance and listening to this at full blast.
Up your eyes, there's nothing to give. The past is gone, time is all there is. The world you see is what you gave. Pain is the ransom you gladly pay. Walk away, walk away, walk away. No more heat, no more rage. Walk away, walk away, walk away.
Okay, now I'm going to do the same exact thing, except a little bit quieter.
Up your eyes, there's nothing to give. The past is gone, time is all there is. The world you see is what you gave. Pain is the ransom you gladly pay. Walk away, walk away, walk away. No more heat, no more rage. Walk away, walk away, walk away.
Okay, I'm going to call this done. I'm going to do what the song just told me to do and walk away. It sounds great. If you see, as you saw on the limiter here, the most gain reduction on that you're seeing, the most gain reduction that is being applied to the limiter is around 1.8, just shy under 2 dB. That is fine, and that is honestly, that's just for a kick drum hit anyway. It's not squashing everything else, so only the drum hit is being affected, and it's only being affected very slightly. I'm very happy with how loud it is, because as you saw, it's pulling at between minus 14 and minus 11. It's averaging around minus 11, minus 12. So that's great. That's awesome to me. So I'm very happy with how loud it is. I'm happy with how it sounds. And when he's hitting the double kick drum, I'm feeling the gut punch in my chest. So this is done. So how I export, I'm making sure that my I don't even know what this is probably called in Logic, but I just call it a range selector tool. I think that is what it is. The cycle, that's what it's called in Logic. I make sure the whole mix is highlighted. It's done. There we go. And the very end is right here. Good. So I hit bounce. I definitely don't want to export as MP3. PCM, wave 24-bit, 48,000. Oh wait, no, this is recorded at 44.1. 24-bit wave, 44.1. How I normally export, if this was just one song, I would export in real time, because I guess I subscribe to the myth that if you export a song offline, meaning it'll just render as fast as it possibly can, there's just a little bit of an audio quality loss versus doing it in real time. I don't subscribe to that theory, but subconsciously sometimes I do. But anyway, for this, I will export offline, hit OK, and now I get to name it. So Pyramada Dangbat Set Final Mix, and let it go. Now I play the waiting game for this to cycle through. And what I will do then is I'm going to step away from the computer, and I will come back to you guys when this is all done. Well, that's that. The session has bounced. It is now ready to be sent to the band, and I'm calling this done. I'm very happy with how this came out, and let's go one last time. Listen to what the product started out as, and then I'll cut to what it sounds like now. So here is the whole mix with everything off, raw as I got it.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain.
Okay, and this is what it now sounds like, finished and completely mastered.
She knows what I like. Got me paralyzed. She feeds on my brain.
What a world of a difference. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for watching this series. And if you really liked it and you learned some things, great. I'm happy to show you guys little tricks of what I've learned over the years. And if you want to see another set like this, where I mix another band's set from the venue, let me know, because I do have another band whose set you guys actually liked ready to go. If you remember a couple of videos back, a band called Mainline played the venue, and they already gave me permission to use their multi-tracks to mix and do what I want with it and create videos for it. So if you guys would want, let me know, and I'll do this series again with mixing Mainline set. So, yeah, I have nothing else to say. Thanks for watching this series. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.